Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our dev chat for Puzzling Places. This is dev chat number 4. It's been a while since we've done one of these to talk to you guys, to talk to the people that like to play Puzzling Places, and for you to meet us, the developers. And with me are two new developers, actually. They're not new on the team, but they're new to you. We have Daniel Sproll, one of the co-founders of realities.io. Hello, Daniel.
Hey, what's up?
And over on my right is Elias Duda.
Yeah.
And he's one of actually the newest people that joined our team. He's an intern, and he was primarily the person that worked on Passthrough. So that's what we're talking about today. A lot of today, at least. We're going to be talking the update that just came out yesterday called the Passthrough update, as the name suggests. And afterwards, we're also going to go through some of the older releases, a bunch of the updates that we've had since we did the last dev chat. So if you haven't really, caught up with the updates that we've done over the last couple of months, you can have a good overview of what those are. So yeah, let's kind of give a brief introduction actually before we get into Passthrough. Daniel, why don't you start us off and tell us a little bit about yourself and maybe even realities.io, because you know about it better than everyone.
As Azad said, I've had a great fortune of being one of the co-founders of realities.io actually in 2016. So I've been around for a while and had fun bringing real-world places into VR. And Puzzling Places is like the last iteration of that. My background is in cognitive science, these days, I've actually been working with VR since about a decade now. So started out as a researcher when the headsets were still like big, clunky, and cost $30,000, doing human experiments. So these days I do a little bit of everything. So of course, like all the boring bureaucratic things and all the paperwork, but I also still get to develop every now and then, work on interactions mainly and stuff like that.
And Elias, you being one of the newest people on the team, tell us, where you're coming from and why you decided to do your internship with us at Realities.
Yeah, I'm studying media technology and design at FH Hagenberg in Upper Austria. And I came to the company's realities.io through the game Puzzling Places. I tried it out in Quest and really loved the game, and it sparked so much ideas in terms of game design, what you can do with this mechanic and everything. And I did some prototypes of my own, and at the end of the semester I just sent them over to Realities and said, look, I did that and I enjoy the game, and how about I work with you? And it worked out pretty fine. And it's great to be here now. This dev chat actually were the first thing that I saw the faces of Realities for the first time. So great to be here.
Oh, so you nice. Actually watched one of the dev chats before you joined?
Yeah, sure. I watched the dev chat. Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool. That's nice. Then let's get into it. Talking about Passthrough. So it's been about 24 hours since it came out. I'll also show you the video. We have the trailer up here. So this has been pretty fun, I have to say, from a marketing perspective, because now for the first time we actually can record videos that look very different depending on where we're playing and how we're playing. Passthrough is all about taking VR, Puzzling Places, and actually putting it into your room, very much like an augmented reality game. It can be considered like a version 0.1 of an AR experience, especially because it's still a black and white pass-through feed. But in general, I think even though it's an early iteration of AR, I think it feels really good. Elias, you're probably the most qualified to talk about it. How, maybe before you started developing Puzzling Places pass-through mode, like had you tried pass-through before in other Quest experiences, or like how did you come about wanting to do Passthrough for Puzzling Places?
I didn't really like experience it in any like full-fledged game, but I looked into like I saw the videos of the demos. It's like not that old, the feature, so it's actually pretty new. And I looked in all the samples that came with the engines, and they showcased what you can do with it, and it was really interesting to see like in which direction you could think with that mechanic. And yeah, so it was exciting for me to be able to do that for Puzzling Places, and it was also a great scope for an internship. So yeah.
Nice. And like, is there something specifically that you think worked really well for Puzzling Places in terms of pass-through? I think because Oculus and Facebook really have been, or Meta, I guess, since they've rebranded themselves, they've been really trying to push games and experiences to try to do, pass-through. And do you think Puzzling Places was one of the better candidates of games that could work well?
Yeah, I mean, Puzzle Base is a stationary game, and a lot of times you just when you play normally. When I tried it first time, I just sat down and puzzled, and when you then put on this pass-through mode, then you really have to get this kind of presence in the room, and this a lot of time leads me to like want to stand up and walk around the room and like just puzzle while standing up, and not fearing to trip over anything that's inside my room. And this, I think, is a really cool thing that works great in Puzzling Places.
Yeah, we can see a few of that here where the beginning of the video starts with me actually walking in the room. I grab a piece. I am avoiding a couch and hitting this, tiny little coffee table, which I've hit many times in VR. And then there's also, like, I guess we can talk a little bit about the cool use cases that this brings to the table. Are there some things that you just weren't expecting that you saw after you started playing the game in pass-through mode?
What do you mean that it worked cool, or that it worked well?
Let's say, so for example, I didn't realize how nice it would be that when someone walks into the room, like in this part of the video, like this is my fiance saying hi to me, and I was able to look at her, make eye contact with her, and even wave. And, from my side at least, it felt like I'm making eye contact with her. From her, of course,
Yeah.
it's not. But, there's things like that I wasn't expecting to like so much.
Your eyes on your Quest.
Yeah, that would be nice. Maybe in the future versions they'll have like a display in the front where you can actually make eye contact with people. But like, what sort of interesting things came up like that to you, if any?
Yeah, I think it's a good point. Like if they're moving like people in the room or pet. I mean, if a dog walks here, you can like pet him and go to another direction, or like you said, talk to a person in the direction that the person is actually located, and stuff like that. What's also great for me was that you have this kind of presence and orientation in the room, and so you can also way better locate where did I put this piece. Oh, I put it over there where my couch is at, and this gives like way more space to sort stuff, I think, in my head, at least for me. And yeah, and it's also like fun use cases, like if you have ever played in a room with a mirror, it gets kind of trippy, and it's just fun to play around with.
Yeah, Daniel, anything for you?
No, I think same thing is it's just like cool when you're like co-located with someone that you don't have to make that choice of like like you are either in the VR world or you are like in meat space, but you can have that kind of like funny in between thing. Yeah. And I think we are super fortunate as Puzzling Places because like Puzzling Places is uniquely suited to do that in the sense that we don't need the immersive environment like for the gameplay. Actually, like the environment, like designing the environment was one of the hardest parts because we were just like doing the initial game design because it needed to be like as like unassuming and unintrusive as possible. And so it's just really fun to do it, and for me it's been really like going back and forth. Like sometimes it's more fun to play it just like completely immersed, which then I also like play more seated, and then sometimes for like when you're in the office or when you like at home like someone. So it's much more fun to play it actually in pass through.
Right.
I think there's still some like some issues here and there, or like controller warping on the hands and these kind of. But it's already like a cool first step to get a feeling, and like I'm just like super excited to hear how all our players are gonna like play and see how they what cool use cases they come up with.
Yeah, this is an experimental feature that we've added. In fact, in the settings, you have to scroll down to the experimental section and enable it there. But yeah, we have more ideas. We have more things we want to do with it. And based on people's feedback, I think that's really going to help us guide us into whether we should put more time and effort into pass-through or not. So we'd love to hear from people. Either let us know in the chat or leave us a comment anywhere. And yeah, we'd love to read it. Did anyone feel that did they feel more compelled to play the game in room scale and actually walk around, or keep playing seated? Because I love to play seated puzzling places, and here I felt a lot more comfortable actually standing up and playing it that way.
Yeah, I think Elias, like you already said it earlier, right? Like, and it's the same for me. Like the first time I tried it, I was like not even thinking about it, just like standing up automatically, because it's so cool to have like all the pieces floating in the room and like being able to walk around them. And I also remember like some people were like, "Oh man, like if I could only like put the finished puzzle in my shelf." Now you can.
Yeah.
Right.
at least until you take off the headset.
I actually like I felt really compelled to put the either finished or like in progress puzzle on a real area rather than floating it in space, which is typically how I played it. It just gave it this grounding sort of feeling, and I don't know, maybe that's something we can expand upon with future like releases.
Yeah, that's also what I wanted to mention, especially in the end, like to put it on a table, the finished puzzle, walk around it, and it's really there in your room. It really adds to the reward of the whole thing.
In terms of, again, I guess we can talk about a little bit about the limitations, because we're limited to how the Quest pass-through feature works, right? Like their cameras and whatnot. What are you guys' thoughts on the limitations?
Yeah, this was a big point because, as you mentioned, it's just black and white and it can get pretty noisy. And yeah, the disadvantage is that it doesn't provide the perfect contrast to the very detailed puzzle pieces. And so that's why we tried to counteract it with the color picker tool to be able to change it to whatever color is perfect for the player. And yeah, other things like the warping when you move the controllers, and also the frame rate is not perfect. So on that end, it's of course not it's not perfect and perfectly immersive. But yeah, we tried to incorporate what we had in the best way, and we think it works pretty fine.
Yeah, no, I think that's exactly the thing, right? Like just the warping, the graininess, the low resolution of the pass-through. Also, like that, there is these depth conflicts sometimes. When like the wall in your room is like closer to you than the puzzle pieces would be, you get like this weird depth conflict. And at the moment, we cannot know if there's a wall. I know that this SDK feature just dropped. I think it's not yet on the Unreal branch, so we again. Not being on Unity, we're always a little later with these SDK updates, which sometimes is good. Like seeing all the other devs like having Unity, they sometimes struggle with like some early issues, so they're usually ironed out by the time it gets to us. So I think that's definitely like one of the interesting ones is like to get like this kind of room understandings, like where's a desk, maybe where's a wall, so we can adjust the shelf or so if it makes sense and if it's possible. But yeah, I think all these things would be going much more deeper. It's like much deeper design decisions, and for us it was just important that we have something that we can put out there for you all to try. And if we see that a lot of people are using it and like a lot of people are playing that way, then definitely we will decide to also like put more effort in there. And I think Elias had some really cool ideas that he prototyped already that I'd love to see in the game.
Should we talk about one of them? Maybe.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, Elias, go ahead. You can introduce it.
It's like what was the thing that we came to you and it's like, sorry, you cannot have it.
Yeah. So the first idea was like to have have it as a tool, the pass-through, like the see-through tool. It was like an icon of a glass, and if you pick it up, it's like this flashlight that you can point in any direction, and it crops out a part of the surrounding, of the immersive surrounding, and you have the pass-through through it. It was thought of like if you hear someone speaking to you, you can look, oh, from which direction does it come, or I feel like I'm bumping into something in my room. I can quickly take this look. Okay, where am I at the moment? And yeah, and then you could just put it on your head, and then it turns to the full pass-through mode. And another idea was to draw windows, which we also tried out, so that you can like define this custom square areas in the environment that are then cropped out and are then fully passed through. So you can say like, okay, in that part of the room, I don't really look in that direction. I don't puzzle there, but I want to see what is happening there. Maybe there's some kids I have to watch over there. And then you have the window that you can always see that.
You can have your little beer window.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Either you put this portal like in the door, so you see people walking through. A window for your drinks or your food, or the cat on the floor. I think it's a nice idea.
Yeah, and I think the cool thing there is like then you don't have to like make this complete choice, but like the parts where maybe there's depth conflict or so, you can leave the virtual surrounding. You have the space, and you don't run into these issues, but you can define other ones. But yeah, I mean, yeah, that's stuff. Of course, like doing that always like takes more time to it's quick to prototype, but then to like really fine tune it always takes a lot of time.
It's also, that's kind of the beauty of doing things in VR, is that you can choose to have maybe all immersive or partially immersive or non-immersive, and this is the whole like Venn diagram that people like to draw between AR and VR, where VR headsets can really have like the best of both worlds. So like people that are listening, what do you think of that idea? Is that something interesting? Would you use it? Would love to hear a little bit more.
Throw in some questions.
Yeah, no, would love to hear about that.
Well, I don't like Elias. Like, was there something that you didn't even get to prototype, or like other things that you would have liked to dive into?
I mean, not. This is way in the more in the direction of what we said, that you can put it on the table to counteract the depth issues, like with the new update where you can draw in the whole furniture and everything. There's so much possibilities where I'm thinking of doing that. But yeah, it's not yet tried out.
Nice. Yeah, so I think let me think. There's a couple of things we can also show that we haven't yet talked about. So because
you can talk about your adventures shooting the teasers and the trailers.
Exactly. So the teasers have been a little bit fun. I had some ideas that like just to tease the concept of Passthrough, but without like making the whole trailer for it. One of them was this idea that like what if I crawl around the floor looking for this final piece, and like finally I find it. Of course, that's not like true gameplay, because we're not, this is not a real life puzzle. You don't have to. They don't really hide behind furniture and whatnot. Maybe in the
conflict, it's actually always visible.
It's always visible, yeah. In fact, that's like, it's a limitation, but it's also sort of an advantage that you never can lose pieces behind furniture. Maybe that's something that happens in the future, but yeah, I thought this was kind of like a fun concept for players that see that like, whoa, what is this, black and white footage, like with also puzzle pieces floating, and then maybe they can put two and two together and be like, oh, they're getting passed through. And then the second one was this plane gameplay trailer, where this is like true actual gameplay. I was sitting in a plane in the middle seat here, playing with one hand, because on my right was my fiance and on my left was a stranger, and I didn't want to like have my left arm kind of going into their space. So I was just playing with one hand. That's also another advantage of puzzling places. In fact, you can play it with one hand. And the cool thing here is like I have played VR in the past on the plane, but it never has felt very comfortable, because the idea of playing VR in public for me has been always somewhat uncomfortable. And at least with Passthrough, now you feel a lot more grounded, and you don't feel like you're making much of a of a scene, and you don't feel like people are staring at you without you knowing, and just because you can see them now with pass-through.
Now
So
you know they're actually staring at you.
yeah, now you can see and be like, "What's up?" Like you can look at them, and then they'll be really like surprised. So yeah, I actually felt comfortable, and like I kind of wanted to show that in the video. There is also like the thing about planes is they move, right? They when they go up and down or they turn. The quest is not really made to be played in a moving vehicle, so whenever that happens, I can show you sort of what like the results of that. So here is this is what happens. So yeah, this actually right after this teaser video ends, the next piece I pull as I'm about to put it in, I start to feel that the plane is moving, and then all the pieces like fly off to the left because the plane is turning, and then the quest goes like the Guardian basically has to reset. It takes a few seconds, but then it does come back, and you can continue playing. So I just like recentered myself, and I was able to continue playing. So that if you are curious about like is this real, it totally does work. So you can play it. It just depends on how stable your flight is. If you're going through turbulence, it's just not going to work. Grumpy's also asking, was there any stuttering, jarring movements on the plane? Only when the plane itself moves. I think if it's stable, it didn't feel any different than just playing in a stable, solid room like this. So yeah, that just entirely depends. The last thing I think we should talk about with pass-through is this unique feature that like I haven't seen any other pass-through apps using. In fact, they didn't use it. We had because we kind of developed it.
Color picker.
The color picker. It's even though we're limited to a monochromatic pass-through. I think maybe Elias, you can explain a little bit of your thinking here in terms of like changing it from black and white to changing it to a spectrum of blue or green or red or any color. This kind of feels like you're adding color into this black and white footage, right?
Yeah, it's really about like what I talked about, the contrast to the pieces and what we already have with our immersive environments, that we like change the color on different puzzles, because not every puzzle piece from every puzzle has the same color, so we need the best contrast for the background. And this is why I wanted to be able to also change it in pass-through mode. And on the normal environments, you have these 4 colors you can change. So at first, like how it works is the camera takes it monochromatic, so you have values from 0 to 1, and you can just map it to any colors, and also put in more color keys in between. So at first I tried it out with 4 different colors, but this can get really messy if you like personally adjust the colors, and it warps from a whole bunch of different colors inside the range from. Yeah, exactly. It was like that, and so I decided it's really more calm and a better experience if you just use these 2 colors for a bright color and for a dark color, and yeah, be able to adjust it if you want more contrast, less contrast, and the other third color to like be able to really have a high contrast to the UI as well.
Right. I mean, it really does feel like you're changing. You know, you're actually affecting the look of the world around you, and in a way, this is better than AR because the other cool thing is what you can do is you can in fact invert the color of the room. So this is like this will show you a few more options than what you've seen before, but you can in fact flip what is black and white into the opposite. So give me a second here. So you can go into this like night.
You want the creep mode.
Yeah, exactly. This is like almost like a horror movie, but like imagine you're in a dark room and you want to brighten it up. You kind of can do that. You know, of course it's going to be inverted, but I don't know. These are the possibilities that VR enable you to do that you just wouldn't, in any other world. So I'm just checking to see exactly how it works. Everything that's black becomes white. Everything that's white becomes black. You can do this with any color, of course. So you want to sit in a blue room, you can totally do that.
Yeah, but I think mainly the thing that's super interesting for us is just like this finding a good way to play so that pass-through does not get in your way. Because I mean, like Shah, who has been on the Dev podcast before, right? Like, who's our art director, he was always like getting very anxious about like the whole idea of AR and pass-through, because it kind of like can get very difficult in the sense that like suddenly you have like this very noisy environment, and maybe there's colors that just like, you know, completely like make the pieces vanish. And so this way we have some control over that, which is really cool. And I think even, you know, like with the Cambria coming with like full color pass through, and like that's going to be cool. But I wouldn't be surprised if people still would revert back to something like we have now. I mean, with of course higher resolution, which is going to be great, but even there, like manipulating the color in a way that it's actually less noisy,
Right.
and better to play. So having these options, I think, is going to be super important for the gameplay, to find the right balance.
Exactly. VR. I'm telling you, VR is the better tool for augmented reality. If you want to change how your room looks and how everything, it's just if your world is not in the ideal shape to really, you know, play a very serene, calm and game, you can adjust it. And yeah, that's great. Yeah, so thank you all for, well, I guess we're not ending the show here, but this was just the pass-through section. If you have more questions about pass-through, please add it into the event chat. Also, if you're on YouTube watching this afterwards, you can add it as a comment as well. We're happy to come back to you. So since it's been a while from the last time that we've done a dev chat, I think we can go through our changelog over the last couple of months and talk about the things that we've added. So
let's go for some of the highlights.
Some of the highlights. So this month in June, we released a feature that a lot of you have asked for. It is the puzzle time tracking mode, and this allows you to basically see how many minutes or hours you've spent in each puzzle. If you are, you know, timing yourself, or you just care to know, like, oh, this one was really quick or this one was really slow. So now you can do that per puzzle, per piece count as well. And Daniel, I think there's a caveat that you can probably explain a little bit.
Yeah, you have to. So because we do track that time only if the analytics are in, because we try to, when you like opt out of the analytics, to basically not track anything at all, not even like just to save it on device. So it won't work then. But yeah, no, it's a really cool feature. It's funny. Like we've always been a little bit on the verge about it, because we kind of always wanted like puzzling places to be like super relaxing. That's like, for example, like one of the reasons why we also like didn't put like a clock in yet, and like we're, you know, we don't have leaderboards or so. But we were like, okay, you know, if people want to like track time that they spend for their own on their own, like that's cool, and like we can definitely do that without changing the vibe so much. And there's actually like a funny thing where like initially I had it implemented as like hours, minutes, and then like some of the testers were like, whoa, is it seconds? And I'm like, I don't think seconds make sense. But then people were like, no, it's probably better understandable if it's seconds. So yeah, now you can time it down to the second.
There you go.
In Unreal, everything is milliseconds anyway. So
people will probably make their own third-party leaderboards that's not officially sanctioned by realities.io, but if you want, just throwing it out there if you guys really care.
Yeah, I mean, and actually, like I think there's like another really cool update in here that I had that was actually really fun to work on, which is like the pointing ray accessibility settings. So yeah, that was also like one of these really interesting design challenges in the game from the beginning on. But basically, you have this pointing ray, and initially we always had it on. But then, like for me, for example, it was really annoying to always have that like floating around in your peripheral vision, because your peripheral vision is very like sensitive to this kind of motion, and you always had like this ray going around. So we came up like this fairly complicated system of like, when you move the controller really fast, like it's gonna like fade out, and then if you like slow it down, like then it starts like showing up. But then for like some people that was difficult, and then there was like also the idea to have the half press. It's like a camera like focusing.
Right.
You have like this half press, so then it becomes always visible. And I think like a lot of people use it, but like for some people, you know, like that's also just a little tougher to do. And so we finally got around to like add some accessibility options there, so you can like switch it to always on. You can always switch it to like a figure array, which is especially I think good on like the Quest 1 if you have trouble seeing. And then also we changed it a little bit so that it's basically always visible. Like this little tip is always visible of the ray, and so you can always see that at least, and it should hopefully make it easier to select. So yeah, I would be curious if any of you like felt that change, or like if that just flew under the radar.
Yeah, I mean, even if it's not very much, even if it flew under the radar, it's probably not a bad thing because it just means it's working well and it's.
Yeah. I think this is going to be helpful, especially also for first-time players. These
Right.
kind of changes, because these are things that had to be learned, and like now we made it even a little bit simpler.
Right. Again, these are all things that come from the feedback that players give us. So your feedback is truly valuable, and it really helps us figure out how the game is being played, what things need more help and more support. So keep letting us know.
Yeah, even sometimes if it takes a little longer till we get to it, but we have it all in our backlog.
Exactly. In May, so we're, by the way, releasing updates on a monthly basis now, along with updates to the content. So there's always a new monthly DLC pack, or if it's not a monthly pack, it's a premium pack, which is what's happening next month in August of 2020. Our first new premium DLC pack is coming out. So along with that comes an update, and typically it's smaller features like what we're describing here. Sometimes it's bigger ones like the pass-through. So we're just kind of going through the last few months here. Daniel, the main feature of May was the achievements.
Yeah, no, the achievements were super cool. We had those already implemented for like a while on PlayStation VR, and finally got. Actually, it was also Elias working on that, right? In the early days of like porting the achievements over.
Yes.
It's
First
like a lot of copy pasting. Yeah, no, especially with the localization of it. But yeah, that was a cool feature. It's like a little bit of a bumpy release because it was really hard to test actually. Like there's this problem that like if you can only basically test it if it's live. So like for the achievements to work with like the whole Oculus call, you have to put them live, but then we didn't want to put them live before we actually released them, because then that's kind of frustrating as a user if you don't see it. So it was a little bit of a blind release, and we also like for some of the I think the perfect game and like some other things, there were actually some smaller bugs, but by now it's all like we can see like the achievements. Every achievement has been achieved, so they seem to work fine by now.
Right. And
so thanks for bearing with us there. Sometimes it's just a little hard to test these things ahead of time.
Exactly. Where for PlayStation, players, this has been already released since the launch back in 2021 as trophies, but now for Oculus, this is for Quest users, this is completely new. We also have been updating small things. By the way, we're getting some echo from Daniel. Maybe just turn on the audio. The menu, we're always like redesigning smaller things. We always continually work on improving the usability there. So this sort of happens month over month. And then
and there's also like a bigger like menu update due, but we'll see when we get around to it.
Yeah, we'll see.
Now that we have like a lot more puzzles coming into the menu.
That's
like,
right.
We have to find better ways to filter.
Our menu was designed with like 16 puzzles in mind originally, and now we are up to, what are we up to, 30? Maybe
41.
41. It's a lot of puzzles, people. If this is, if you only played the original 16 puzzles, there's a lot more. There's a lot more things to do. With our first monthly pack, I guess this is the one that we should talk about, the new difficulty modifier. So this, a number of you pointed out the fact that by default, the puzzle pieces on the grid, on the shelf, are in fact upright in the same position that they will fit into each other. Unlike real-life puzzles where you flip over the puzzle box and all the pieces are in different orientations. So we added a modifier to randomize the orientation of the pieces. They won't be facing away from you, so that's still something that, I don't know. I guess, have we ever considered that, to not have the pieces face forward?
Yeah, I think but I think that's just annoying. So right now we use the average normal of the piece, so like so kind of have them pointing towards you. It's like, I think otherwise it's a little annoying. Yeah, no, but like that's actually like one great example of something that we would love to change in the menu over time, is to like bring these difficulty modifiers, like no reference pictures, black and white mode, randomized rotations, to bring these all into the detail panel. But we'll need to make a little bit more space and change some stuff up there.
Right. Similar to.
So I think that these are more visible to more people, because I think in the settings it's a little hidden. So only the pro gamers know.
I mean, we do have a lot of settings now because people keep suggesting things and we think it's a good idea. So,
and there's more coming.
There are definitely more coming.
Actually, like quick shout out. Yeah, like there was a really big refactoring, so restructuring of the code base in the background happening, that made us really really sweaty for this update. Actually, we changed the whole way of like how we're loading puzzles in the background. So shout out to Marcel, our lead developer, who has worked on that. And now, we actually had to put in a delay so we can still show you the splash screen because it was so quick that you couldn't see it at all. And also the other cool thing is we were running into problems with people when like the app crashing when people had too many puzzles installed, because it would load all the puzzles into memory. And it doesn't do that anymore now. We're using soft references in Unreal now, and we only like load the puzzle that you're actually playing. That's why the load time got much lower, and there's no more problems with the game crashing in the menu.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, these things also like happen, and sometimes are not that visible, but take a lot of effort. But now we're more scalable than ever.
I love that. It's like such a great. We can scale. It's like a business sort of term. By the way, speaking of splash screen, that is probably new. That was introduced in this update, where if you don't follow us on Discord or don't follow us on social media sites, you might not be aware that we have new DLCs coming out. You just might totally miss it. So now, when you start up the game, start up Puzzling Places, there's a splash screen showing you the latest puzzles. So that also probably will be an announcements place for us in the future if there's bigger updates. So I think even Passthrough has its own splash screen now if you launch it. So yeah, it's just a good way for us to be able to speak to our players, because as you all might know, it's difficult to connect to players that don't follow you on various social media sites. I'm happy from that end. Let's see, we have a little hotfix. Vertical locomotion, another request that's been asked by quite a few players. It's in the settings. It's not on by default. You can turn it on, but you will be able to pull yourself up and down. And some people, don't want they didn't like the angle to look at the pieces, so they wanted to be able to go up there and maybe get closer to the pieces on the shelf. And they found this to be pretty useful. Anything else to talk about here? Oh yeah, you can also see how sometimes we develop certain features that go to, let's say, PSVR first, because things just needed to be done that way, and then they end up on the Quest, or sometimes it's the other way around. But yeah, we try to.
Well, by now we're actually synced. We're like now building finally from the same code base, from the same branch. So things should be much more synced now. That was also quite a battle to get these to work together.
Exactly. Feature parity, very important for us. This is also why it's difficult to add new platforms. It's like anytime we add a new VR platform, if we need to keep up with it with every month's release, we need to port, everything needs to work together and at the same time. So it's just a lot of overhead. As you can tell.
I guess I think around that time we had the last dev chat, so maybe let's, instead of talking about the past, let's talk about what's up next, eh?
Ooh, let's do it. I guess so. Coming up next in August is our first premium pack. I don't think we've announced the name or anything yet, but we will be dropping some hints and some teasers over the next couple of weeks, so you should look forward to that. We're really going all out on this one, both visually and auditorially. So I think, again, we've taken a lot of people's feedback and suggestions about how what sort of interesting things to experiment with in puzzles, and so our puzzling team, our art team, really has been experimenting with some cool new ideas. So we're really excited to show that. Should we talk about the free puzzle that might come? Oh, free new puzzle.
No, yeah, we have finally another free puzzle coming up. Not 100% sure yet if it's gonna launch in between, like after. It's definitely gonna be after the premium pack, and maybe with the next monthly pack, or like maybe before.
Right.
Yeah, I'm also super excited about that one. So we took like some of the lessons learned that we like some of the experiments from the premium pack, and are chilling that also into the free update. And it's like a pretty epic location of something that we didn't have before at all. So it's been super fun seeing that take shape over the last weeks. And
some of the new techniques also that we've been developing for the premium pack is going to be used in the free puzzle. So if you want to have a preview of how these premium packs are being built, the free puzzle I think will be a really nice representation of that. But get the premium.
Yeah, and
really good.
I think that's also maybe something to just like talk about a little bit. So we see these premium packs also as a chance for us to experiment with new things, right? And like try out new things that haven't been part of like the puzzles before. And so it's really like this nice split for like the monthly packs. We just like make sure everybody has enough puzzles to play, and like we can just like take locations where it's maybe hard to find like good audio because they're just like thematically harder to do, and we can still put them out there as puzzles if we think they're cool locations. And then for the premium packs, we can really like pick the best ones where we really feel we can go a little bit deeper with audio or with other features, and make something that is just more interesting and more into more depth, basically.
Right. I guess we should talk a bit about the monthly versus premium packs, because we didn't have that in the dev chats. But yeah, a lot of you have been asking for more content, at least like a couple months ago, because we've been now releasing a lot of content on a monthly basis. And so we decided to split the puzzle development into like monthly puzzles and premium puzzles, where basically everything before the monthly puzzles, all the content that's in the game, plus the first 2 DLC packs that were released, those were all premium puzzles, because we just really spent a lot of time on each, which it takes typically like a month or two to create just like a couple of puzzles. We wanted to still be able to do that, and also if we had new ideas that we wanted to experiment with, we wanted to be able to put in the time to do that, but not at the cost of like people like quite a few of you here that are watching that are just like, I just want to be able to boot up my Quest on the weekend and be able to play 1 or 2 puzzles, just they want to be able to play simpler things, or like it does, not everything needs to be super extravagant and amazing. Just like some people just want to play some puzzles. So we basically decided that we want to be able to do both, where on the monthly basis, we're just going to be able to release a monthly pack, which is like, has various puzzles that cover different people's, favorite puzzles. So some people like mechanical things like tractors and cars and planes, so sometimes we have puzzles that are focused around that. Some people like more bigger areas that have like an interior of a monastery and an exterior, so we just released the monthly pack 3, which is like a bunch of churches with the interiors and the exterior scanned. Sometimes it's much larger scans, so there was the scans of I'm blanking on the name, like Mont Blanc in France, the mountain range. So that's a beautiful like atlas, like it feels like a 3D atlas that you're puzzling together. So yeah, we try to really cover the whole gamut of puzzles that we have in the monthly packs, and then the premium packs are much more like thematic and cinematic experiences that are really crafted around like a certain theme or story that we're trying to tell. So I think next week we actually will do another dev chat with Shah, the art director, to introduce. I think, is it next week? I might be wrong about that, but yeah, we'll
Maybe a little later. I'm also not sure, but yeah, we
Yeah.
will give you like a little preview of like what's coming with the premium pack.
Exactly. So he'll give you more context around those puzzles and also the history behind like each scan and like the location, and it'll be a really cool thing to listen to while you're puzzling or maybe after you're puzzling, depending on how you like to do these things. Yeah, this is a way for us to really, give you a peek behind the curtains to see the amount of work we're doing, the interesting stories behind them. Yeah, let us know how you've
No, I
been
think
feeling about
especially
the
also on the
layouts.
audio side, because I think this is something that came up before. It's like, oh, like why don't monthly puzzles have like the same level of awesome audio? So we also try to like make a compromise there, because while the puzzles we can make those in like a semi-automated fashion. I mean, we still have to like find good ones, play test them, and so on. But like it's less manual work and less creative work if we just take a location that is cool. So the audio, on the other hand, is extremely involved, and like for some puzzles it's just really hard. I mean, you've seen Pierre Marie, our amazing sound designer, on the MDRS dev chat, and like so he really like has to take a lot of time and like go in there. Like sometimes he just records the sounds specifically for the puzzle, right? And that would have been really hard to keep that up for like 6 puzzles every month, and to like have the same level of depth. So that's also why we said let's make a split there. Let's like really go all in with some of the premium puzzles, and then be very transparent about like, okay, the monthly puzzles are just not going to have that, and so people can make a choice. Like the players can make a choice. Like, yeah, I want only like the like the premium stuff with like the detailed soundscapes and like the new cool features, or like, hey, I just want some puzzles much closer to what we did on Patreon, and I want to have like at least like a new puzzle every weekend. And yeah, I'm really happy, and I think the team's really happy with this balance. Like, so we have like different like ways to approach different puzzles, and like it gives us a much wider range to experiment. And I hope you are all also happy with that balance. And if not, let us know. If you would like more monthly puzzles or more premium puzzles, give us a shout.
Yeah, Grumpy here is saying that he really liked the Inside Out puzzles this month. Yeah, they also
And
were.
there was also definitely feedback that we've gotten that we hadn't released anything inside outside for a while. So we specifically looked for that to bring that back, because it's also just something that we really like as well. And we're also like, for example, I think that came up like a few times before as well. People wanted to have something like Hellworld Museum again, like inside rooms or like maybe cut off roofs or something. So we're also looking for that again. Like those are harder to find because those cannot be drone scanned, and like a lot of scans that you find and like that are easy to do. That also, like Azad and I, we've been on trips over the last months, and like of course got the drone, like scanned some stuff. Azad in Turkey and for example, and I on Corsica. So there will be scans coming from there, but like the inside ones are just a little harder to get sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. The we so it's really given us also the ability to plan a little bit ahead, where now we have, I think, the next 5 or 6 months worth of puzzles already pretty well planned out in terms of slotted in, and we're just a little bit more organized when it comes to that. Monkey's asking if we've had any struggles trying to make the monthly packs and getting them out. No, I think
The first ones definitely were like a little short sometimes. Like the first one or two, we were really pushing the deadlines. But it's normal, we had that also when we started with the Patreon. Like the first few Patreon puzzles were like, it was really tough, and then you get into the groove, and you like kind of get a little bit of like a buffer going. You have like some stuff planned out, and I think now we're in a really good place.
Yeah.
That's also why we now started with the premium packs again, the ones that just take more time.
Exactly.
So who knows, maybe we'll get even faster. There's like more ideas. I mean, we have also been toying around with the idea of like maybe opening up a subscription for people that that do want to have like just that kind of access to the whole library without buying every single DLC, don't worry, we'll still do DLCs. It will not be subscription only. That's a promise. Because I know like some people feel very strongly about that, and I completely understand that. It would be just like an alternative way to access the puzzles, and maybe that would even allow us again to like be more experimental with some puzzles, like do like more quicker. So that's in the flux. But like I think with the current sequence or like cadence, we're pretty good. We're feeling pretty good, and like
Yeah.
some months will be like 4 puzzles, sometimes will be 6 puzzles. But
Yeah, I think it depends on a little bit of the effort that goes into each puzzle. So some require more work than others, like the monthly puzzles, like a lot of them have to go through like touch-ups on to fix certain areas that are just horrible to, as pieces to puzzle. Some areas that just need to be reworked. So yeah, they all go through quite a lot of, let's say, tender love TLC, tender love and care. To get released and play tested and whatnot, and so that's what I spend a lot of my time on, while the premium team can really like take their time to create a mood board, to create get references from paintings and history, and then really create something to just be able to spend even a whole week on one single puzzle, or like 2 weeks sometimes. Whereas the monthly pack sometimes
the premium puzzle team is 2 people. It's not like not like it's a huge team.
Our department, our premium art.
Yeah, the premium puzzle department.
Exactly. So no, it's been feeling good. I'm really happy with the pace that we're at. It feels like we have a decent format that we can keep up with. That also you puzzlers seem to be enjoying. You're playing the puzzles. We're seeing that just on our analytics side. So yeah, just for us now, it's about staying consistent, keeping our development team to develop more featers. I mean, multiplayer is still a major feature that we're working on.
It's happening. We've been working on it all the time. It's just a slow one. It's like a really slow one that takes time. We're slowly getting to a point where the technical side is looking better, and hopefully soon we can really start diving into the design side as well, because it will change. Like, I mean, we played some early tests already, and for example, like if you have like the surrounding shelf of puzzle pieces and then people stand, it's kind of getting crowded. I mean, I think we played like a session with 7 people or so at some point. That was just complete mayhem and chaos.
Yeah.
So we just have to come up with ways to design that, and so you don't like clip into each other, like have overlaying issues and these kind of things. So it will be fun to play around with that. And yeah, we're also working on other features. Elias is already working on a new feature because he'll be also joining the team full time, which we're super excited about. And he's already working on a new one that we're probably not going to talk too much about, but it's one that's going to give like a little bit more for people that look for like a little bit more structure and a little bit more guidance, and maybe think that the 400 piece puzzles are maybe a little daunting to start, to give them help. And yeah, I mean, Elias, right? It's coming along well. But also now that the deep down technical, the part after the prototyping, when it actually needs to be actually integrated and everything needs to get going, right?
Yeah. But yeah, not to say too much.
Yeah.
When
we'll
have a new.
Maybe we'll we'll beta test it in our Discord. That's something we're probably going to start trying out soon. We're definitely going to do with the multiplayer. We're going to need people to help us test things, but hopefully with the other larger features, before we really put it out into the world, the people in Discord would love, or people in our community would love for you to help us just craft it, give it that extra layer of polish before we release it out to thousands of people.
Mm-hmm. Grumpy is asking for more than 400 pieces. We've talked about it. There are also some interesting challenges. I think we might not be able to push more than 400 on Quest 1. Quest 2, it might be possible. Some of the upcoming platforms that we're working on, it might be possible. Or I would say it's most definitely possible there. Quest 2 could be. We could probably look at something like 600 at some point. I think that was the idea that we had. One of the major challenges is that the puzzles might just get really large, because we don't want to make the pieces tiny, because I think that is not fun to puzzle if you have pieces that are just like super tiny. So we're definitely hitting a point there that could be hard. 600 might be already pushing it. But yeah, we'll have a look at it at some point. Like nothing to announce yet concretely. Yeah. But I mean, yeah, we also would like to just, for the fun of it, push it further. It might also be something, for example, that we start out with a premium pack that where we are sure that the quality is also good enough for the puzzles to be larger without then looking shitty. Yeah. And premium pack is probably the place to look for that.
I do wonder with multiplayer if the need for more pieces becomes more apparent there, because if you have multiple people putting together, puzzling things together, maybe, you need way more pieces. And like, I just have this like pie in the sky idea of, how in Minecraft where there's people like digging and building things and all around together. I'm like, I can see multiple people puzzling like this massive puzzle together from various ends, and then like meet in the middle somewhere. Like just the
that also the thing that Elias is working on could be helpful.
That's true. That is actually
make it even more mysterious.
I like it. Yeah. So there's more to come. Lots more to come with puzzling places.
Yeah. No. We're excited. There's cool stuff coming.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that should be good for this dev chat. Thank you all for
questions.
Yeah. If you have more questions, we're happy to take it. But we've been pretty much answering them as they've been coming. Thank you for the people that are watching this live in Discord. If you would like to watch the next one live in Discord, make sure you are in our Discord, and that whenever you see us posting an event, clicking on the interested button, and then you will be notified when we're live. We don't have a regular schedule. It's more we schedule one after a major update or a content release. So that's kind of how we like to do it. We don't need to do it on a weekly basis, at least just as of yet. And yeah, thank you for all for watching this on YouTube. And keep playing puzzles, keep trying out our new DLCs, and what was that? Anything?
The puzzle cling.
Oh yeah, like yeah, appreciate it, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Thanks everyone. Bye.